Welcome back to this environmental series on CNC3. My guests are Alan de Boomle from Waste Disposals Limited and Alban Scott, the Executive Manager from Solid Waste Management Company Limited. Before we go on, let's hear what another scavenger at the Labas landfill had to say to us earlier this month.
Can you tell me what you're doing over here? I saw you with some glass, looking at some glass and packing up some glass there.
The bottles are separating. Well, just recently I come up here to also because I work in CPEP the other day and I have a boss have a little misunderstanding and send me home and I come back up here to make a little honest dollar when they come here, understand me?
How do you make the money? What do you do?
Well, we go in the rubbish, bus bag, and the little metal bottle. And you see what I'm doing there? I separated the carib, ketchup, flask, etc.
And then what do you do with the bottles?
Sell it.
How much money do you make per day doing this job?
Well, according how much bottles I hustle, I might make a $150, $80 some dollars for something according.
Do you make more money here than you would make in CPEP or less?
Well, I like CPEP, but up here really not my living. You understand me? I'm a hard working girl, you understand me? So I prefer CPEP, but what I go do? I can't just stay home and so long I didn't do anything, you understand me? I'm a son to see about, you understand me? I loan to pay, you understand? So it's kinda hard with me right now, real tough.
How many people work here on an average? How many people you see here every day?
Well, sometimes it might have more, sometimes it might have less.
Okay, and everybody is hustling and doing the same kind of thing. Do you all ever fight about different things or does it work out okay?
Well, everything working out okay, quite okay. Everybody hustle different. Who hustle iron, who hustle metal. Like how everybody hustling iron, like how I hustling metal, I hustling bottle. Understand me? So everything. Yes, cool, man.
Does the mess around you bother you? If you, how many hours are you here every day?
Well, accordingly, how the pace run now. You understand me? The pace run, I go stay. It's like how the rain falling here. I bag up and look to go home. You understand me? I hustle here from Saturday to Saturday. You understand? So everything cool. We don't get sick of any rubbish up here. We are accustomed. You understand?
Let's talk about where we left off at the point that you said that we absolutely need to recycle. The Ministry of Local Government, and I'll come to you here, Alan, the Ministry of Local Government last week stated, or a couple of weeks ago stated, that the draft waste management legislation bill is being prepared by a Canadian company. Is it based on planned national integrated waste management systems? What do you expect out of it?
From what I know of it, yes. I have had conversations with the consultants, with some of the other garbage contractors, and at the Ministry of Local Government. And they were trying to get a feel for how we saw the thing developing. And they were explaining to us how it works in Canada, well, the part of Canada, Nova Scotia, where they are from. And we expect to see something that's going to come forward that is similar to that. It may not be the same because that's a cold country, it's a much bigger land mass. But I feel it'll be a positive thing, but again, implementation has always been a little bit difficult for the ministry. So I want them to get that report and move with it and get going with it and get things implemented so we could start separating our waste and set up enviro depots, transfer stations, waste processing facilities.
How many companies like yours are there in Trinidad and Tobago who want to support this whole waste management?
I would say, well, in terms of garbage collection contractors, I think they're between 25 and 30.
And recycling companies, perhaps you can help us, Alban?
There are a few of them. We can't determine all, because a lot of the metal recycling guys we don't know who they are. A lot of them are outside there. But I think there are quite a number of them that are outside there who would want to see some kind of process take place. The thing is, it means controls. And I am not too sure if some of them who are in the metal recycling and some of the other areas would be willing to to live with those controls. It may be different for the waste collectors who run a straight line and collect and stuff like that. But when you start to challenge those that operate below the line, that have always operated, they sell, they trade, they sell, and that type of thing. You know, one has to look at that very carefully, because the legitimacy of bringing them into the legitimate world may very well open up a can of worms for some of them. You know,
it seems like there are a lot of cans of worms that could be opened up in this whole thing. But let's talk about the litter laws. I know that with the new budget, they're thinking of actually doubling the fine for littering. What do you make of that?
Enforcement is the critical factor in littering. If you cannot enforce, you can double the fines. If you're not going to enforce, and those who are given the responsibility for enforcing do not enforce, it will not happen. If you have to take them to court, and you're going to continue to take them to courts in which they're competing with robberies, murders, all the different types of criminal activity, it's going to be difficult. And Sumkola has been advocating for years now the whole question of an environmental court. An environmental court, which is not an environmental commission, which is a higher court of jurisdiction. Talking about an environmental court where you can actually come in and you're charged, and the matter is dealt with from that standpoint. One of the problems we face in Trinidad is everything is virtually criminalized, and we need to take littering out of criminalization into civil action, so that the civil courts could properly deal with it.
Alan, I noticed you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to make the comment as well, but Alman eventually made it that, yes, you're going to double the fine, but how many people are being fined now? I think it's not so much the fine is not enough and people are not bothered about it, because if they get fined, they will just go and pay it. It's just nobody's being fined.
So what's the answer to that? Do we need litter wardens?
Well, you need litter wardens. You need to
have litter wardens.
You need enforcement. You need proper enforcement. We need to get on the bandwagon about education. We need to reinforce the fact that do not throw things out of your car, do not litter. We must get back to making receptacles available for people to put waste in. I know we had some bombings in Port of Spain, but we need really to have a receptacle for them to put the waste in. Not everybody is going to put it, I might put it in my pocket, but not everybody else will do the same thing. And it is necessary that that be done, not only in Port of Spain, but throughout the country. The whole question of available containers to accept waste. And teach people how to use them. People must begin to recognize that, you don't take your household waste and put it in a litter bin. That's not what a litter bin is for. A litter bin is for litter.
Yeah.
And those are things that we must teach it and reinforce it.
Right. And what we discovered when we were at the Beetham landfill, that actually you can take along your stuff, you can take it there, and they can actually separate it for you, so you don't have to put it in your regular garbage bags. So that some level of separation can be done by us from home.
Well, one of the things that we have been advocating, and I think we are looking at starting a pilot program in some communities with the support of the community, is source separation, where you separate your plastics, you separate your paper, you separate your bottles and your cans. Now, that in itself, if you get a community and you start with one community, you can move from community to community, you get a development on that basis. That is what you need.
And we hope that that's what happens. We need to take a short break. We'll be right back with more on this environmental series on CNC3.